You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You fall to the level of your daily habits. Most people spend years chasing motivation, waiting for the perfect feeling, the right mood, the magical moment when everything aligns. But that moment almost never arrives. What separates the few who actually live their vision from the many who only dream? It is not talent, not luck, not even hard work in bursts. It is discipline, the quiet, unglamorous choice to act when no one is watching, when it feels pointless, when every part of you screams to quit. Discipline is not punishment. It isn't deprivation. It is freedom in its most powerful, unbreakable form. Self-discipline isn't punishment. It isn't sacrifice or harsh restriction forced upon your existence. It represents freedom in its truest and most potent expression. It means having mastery over yourself instead of being ruled by fleeting urges. It is the silent resolve you uphold in private moments, unseen by others, with no praise, no prize, and no instant gratification. It is deliberately selecting what matters most in the long run over what feels good right now. This one repeated decision, day after day, ultimately directs the entire trajectory of a person's life. Every truly significant life rests upon this foundation. Without discipline, raw talent slowly dissolves into disappointment. Without it, capability turns into a heavy weight instead of a blessing. Aspirations stay locked inside the imagination, bright, detailed, yet completely untouched by the real world. You can hold the clearest picture of success and still never take a single step toward it. Discipline is the force that converts vision into actual movement. It supplies purpose to longing and substance to plans. You don't climb to match your ambitions. You descend to match your everyday routines. This isn't mere theory. It is reality's unbreakable rule. The tiny actions you perform regularly carry far more power than sporadic flashes of enthusiasm. What you do repeatedly defines your character. Examine your life with clear, unflinching honesty. No justifications, no stories. The path you're on isn't random. It flows directly from countless small choices, most so minor they escape your notice. Discipline forms the connection between desire and achievement. It carries a concept from imagination into tangible existence. It is the inner voice insisting to it regardless. When ease pleads for surrender, it chooses persistence over relaxation, order over disorder, and meaning over fleeting enjoyment. Comfort delivers instant pleasure, yet it silently erodes tomorrow's possibilities. Discipline may demand effort today, but it eventually returns freedom, focus, and genuine self-worth. The majority wait for inspiration to strike. They postpone until they feel motivated, energized, or certain. People with discipline don't pause for those feelings. They move forward regardless of mood. Motivation is fleeting and emotional. Discipline is steady and deliberate. One sways with feelings. The other stands firm on commitment. Motivation ebbs and flows like the tide. Discipline endures unchanging. One shifts with circumstance, the other remains solid. If you truly wish to transform your life, avoid starting with huge vows or theatrical declarations. Don't attempt to reinvent yourself in a single dramatic instant. Begin instead with modest, non-negotiable promises. Choose behaviors so simple they appear trivial, yet strong enough to sustain repeatedly. One promise honored in private holds more value than countless loud intentions. Each fulfilled commitment reinforces who you are becoming. Each abandoned one chips away at your credibility. Discipline isn't created through one grand heroic effort. It isn't shaped in a solitary display of determination. It grows quietly across ordinary moments through steady action, precisely when giving up would feel justified and no one would criticize you for quitting. It emerges when you decide to appear despite exhaustion, to push forward despite boredom, and to complete the task despite distraction. Real change starts there, not in extremes, but in reliability, not in flawlessness, but in continuing. Yeah. Discipline does not confine your existence, it enlarges it, it eliminates disorder, it exchanges uncertainty for confidence, and converts labor into forward motion. Once discipline becomes your bedrock, freedom stops being something you pursue. It becomes the way you exist. Time refuses to bargain. It is the single resource you cannot store, lend, or recover. Once it passes, it vanishes permanently. It never halts for doubt or decelerates for indecision. It marches onward whether you move intentionally or stay motionless. Every dawn silently announces another opportunity granted to you. Every dusk gently inquires what you accomplished with it. Time never debates, never justifies, and never restores what was squandered. Self-discipline truly begins the instant you cease treating time lightly. When you honor time, your days gain order. When you waste it, your path drifts aimlessly. Squandered time isn't merely lost hours. It is forfeited capability, missed development, and unmade difference. It is the ability left unlearned, the resilience never developed, the influence never delivered. Time thrown away today accumulates into sorrow tomorrow. Reflect honestly. How frequently do you exchange your future for momentary relief? How often do you pick convenience over exertion, diversion over concentration, postponement over progress? How many days fade without direction, merging together until entire months vanish without trace? This pattern isn't coincidence. It stems from unguarded hours. Discipline teaches you to view time accurately, not as endless, but as strictly limited. Discipline teaches reverence for time as something precious. It involves understanding that every moment carries worth, used or unused. It means designing your hours instead of merely responding to them. When you react, external events command your schedule. When you design, your schedule serves your deeper aims. Discipline means pre-deciding what merits your attention rather than allowing whims to choose. When you master your hours, you master your trajectory. Time decides what flourishes and what decays. Whatever receives your attention grows. Whatever is ignored diminishes. Without discipline, days become a blur of motion, yet little advancement. You remain occupied but unchanged. With discipline, every day adds a deliberate piece to a greater structure. Advancement might feel gradual, but it is purposeful. The disciplined individual grasps that modest, repeated efforts mold fate. No solitary instant defines a lifetime. Only habits repeated long enough become identity. One concentrated hour daily surpasses infrequent, intense efforts. Steadiness turns ordinary moments into remarkable outcomes. You don't require additional hours. You require greater purpose. Within the hours already given, everyone receives identical passing minutes, yet not everyone treats them with equal regard. Purpose transforms time from a weight into an instrument. It infuses routine with significance and effort with direction. When you rise with clear intent, time shifts from adversary to partner. Honor time and it rewards you with momentum. Protect it and it amplifies your results. Invest it thoughtfully and it yields development, resilience, and insight. Disregard it and it quietly continues without you, unaffected by apologies and untouched by remorse. Time refuses negotiation. It never lingers until you feel prepared. It never adapts to your preferences. It simply advances. The real question isn't whether time will elapse. The question is whether you will meet it with discipline or let it pass unnoticed, taking your unrealized potential along. The inner conflict. Each day hosts a silent struggle within you. It awakens with your first conscious moment and shadows every decision, every hesitation, every choice to proceed or postpone. One voice craves comfort, simplicity, and the familiar. It desires security, routine, and the well-trodden route. The opposing voice pursues expansion, difficulty, and forward movement. It requires exertion. It calls you to venture beyond what feels instinctive. Self-discipline determines which voice you follow. The fiercest adversary you will ever confront is the part of yourself that resists change. This adversary never shouts. It never threatens or assaults. It murmurs. It sounds sensible. It reasons with caution and practicality. It urges you to delay until circumstances improve, to rest a bit more, to begin tomorrow when conditions feel smoother. Discipline understands that tomorrow frequently masks never. This internal opposition isn't frailty. It is simply human. The instinct to preserve energy and evade discomfort is deeply ingrained. Yet growth never happens inside comfort zones. It never has. Expansion demands unease. There are no detours, no exceptions. Anything that enlarges must withstand strain. Muscles develop through opposition. Character develops through opposition. When resistance arises, it isn't a cue to withdraw. It isn't proof you've made a mistake. It is confirmation you stand at the threshold of transformation. Resistance emerges exactly. If you rarely encounter it, you are probably repeating familiar patterns, remaining inside boundaries that no longer stretch you. Discipline means learning to interpret resistance not as opposition, but as a signpost of growth.